When I got married, my mother-in-law treated me like a terrible wife-beater. That is why I thought that when my own son got married, I would be nice to my daughter-in-law. But my daughter-in-law has a cold attitude toward me. According to my son, she is frustrated because she can't have children. I could not help it, and I barely tolerated it. Now that I have a grandchild, I can get along with my daughter-in-law. That's what I thought. When I went to my granddaughter's 100th birthday celebration, to my surprise, only my seat was not there. There is only a seat for my family, lol. Then my husband, who heard the daughter-in-law's comment, said to me, "Shall we go home?" Yeah. 3 minutes later, tragedy struck my daughter-in-law. My name is Millie Timber, 58 years old. I am a housewife who does her best to take care of the house every day. My husband Danny and I have been married for 30 years. We have been getting along well with little to no arguments. My 35-year-old son, Stefan, and my 25-year-old daughter are now married and independent, which is a relief. Huh? 30 years of marriage and a child at 35? The math doesn't add up. Yes, I am actually Danny's second wife, not Stefan's biological mother. In the past, I was working as his secretary at a company owned by Danny. One day, his wife at the time, his ex-wife, passed away due to illness. Stefan was 4 years old when his ex-wife passed away. He missed his mother and cried all the time. I took pity on him and took care of him whenever I saw him. I became friends with Danny through this process, married him, and officially became Stefan's mother. I left the company upon our marriage to focus on raising Stefan. Even though I was his second wife, I was married to Danny, a wealthy man. People around me envied me, saying, "You've got it all figured out." I was envied by those around me. Some people with a bad mouth would say, "You did a good job after his wife passed away." I wanted to marry Danny and Stefan to be a family, so I was not satisfied with such comments that seemed to be about money. Well, if it were someone else, I might have felt the same way. Danny and Stefan understand what I'm talking about. I am sure that with time, people around me will understand. But I learned after we were married that this was a naive idea. Danny lived at home, so after we were registered, we immediately moved in with my in-laws. I was 28 at the time and soon became the mother of a 5-year-old and the second wife for my in-laws. My father-in-law was a kind man, but my mother-in-law was quite strict. She forced me, a young woman, to do all of the housework, and she was always difficult with me. "Millie, look at me. Your food is not well seasoned. My husband and Danny like it thicker. Make it again right away." What? Now? Of course. Besides, I told you to clean up at noon, but there's dust in the corner of your room. You must have cut corners anyway, using a vacuum cleaner or a wiper. That's why I hate young people. I'm going to have to redo this one too. Yes. I'm sorry. Not at all. As a housewife, aren't you ashamed that you can't even do this much? The previous wife was also weak and had to pay for hospital bills. Really, Danny, he has bad luck with women. You are living off the money he has worked so hard for, so be frugal. Apparently, my mother-in-law did not like my ex-wife either, because she was often ill, so she could not overtly bully her. My father-in-law could not say anything strong against his wife, so there was nothing he could do to stop her from picking on him. Danny is also busy with work and is rarely home. I didn't want to cause my husband unnecessary worry, so I kept quiet about the wife beating. I was dizzyingly busy, getting up early in the morning to make breakfast for the whole family, then doing the laundry and raising the children. However, Stefan is still very fond of me, saying, "I love you, Mom." I have been gritting my teeth and enduring the busy housework and my mother-in-law's bullying of my wife. My parents-in-law passed away 5 years ago. I am now living a peaceful life without being subjected to their abuse. Stefan has also grown up to be the successor of Danny's company. Stefan married Santana, the daughter of the president of a business partner, 4 years ago. Santana has a strong personality and does not hesitate to say what she wants to say. Her appearance is that of a winsome beauty, and she wears a short cut that suits her well. At first glance, she and Stefan, a strong-willed and calm woman, seem to be opposites, but it seems that they are not incompatible. On the contrary, however, she and I did not get along at all. It was not so much that we didn't get along, but rather that she single-handedly turned me into an enemy. I tried to be a kind mother-in-law to her, because I had had a hard time with my own mother-in-law problems. But for some reason, she was being hard on me and verbally abusive. "Millie, you gave Stefan a birthday present. Was that harassment against me?" "What? I didn't mean to harass you. How could you?" "My gift was made a bit hazy by the fact that you gave Stefan's birth year wine. You made me look like a fool by hand-knitting the scarf, giving away such a precious thing." "I didn't mean to. I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable. But Stefan was happy with the scarf you gave him, right?" "That's not the point. It's not good that I gave you a gift that would impress you more than me, Stefan's wife. Please be careful in the future." Besides that, she has been sarcastic and complained about many other things. It was so bad that I once casually probed Stefan about her. Isn't Santana sometimes terribly irritating? I get so worried that I wonder if I've done something wrong. Oh. Actually, she hasn't been able to have children since we got married, and she seems to be a bit emotionally unstable. I think it's a gift and there's no need to rush into it. Instead, I'm loving my pet puppy. So Santana is taking her stress of not being able to have children out on me. I was dissatisfied, but as a fellow woman, I couldn't help but understand her feelings. I decided to be patient, hoping that with time the problem might be resolved. However, Santana's outbursts at me only got worse day by day. She would get into a netherworld with me when Danny and Stefan were not around. "I heard that Stefan is not related to you by blood? And you come from a common family. You did well to take advantage of Danny's grief over the loss of his ex-wife. You approached Danny with the intention of becoming the CEO's wife, didn't you? Don't be ridiculous. I didn't marry Danny for his money. I married him because I love him. Even if we are not related by blood, Stefan is still my precious child." I don't know. Don't you realize that this celebrity life doesn't suit you? I think you should look up the word undeserving in the dictionary. As you can see, I have been called some terrible things. I had many thoughts about Santana, but if I spoke ill of my daughter-in-law, she might think I was a wife snob. I didn't want to do that, so I tried to keep my distance from her. Last year, Stefan and Santana had their longed-for child. The baby was a girl, and my husband was very happy. When I rushed over to congratulate her on the birth, Santana's expression was soft. She smiled at me and said, "Thank you very much for your congratulations. Now that they have a child, maybe I can be friends with her." I hoped so. But it was not to be. It was the day of my granddaughter's 100th birthday celebration. My husband and I were invited to Stefan's house, and of course we joined in the celebration. When we arrived at Stefan's house, I suddenly noticed something. Each of the celebrants had a nameplate, but the one with my name on it was missing. I thought it might be a mistake, but no matter how many times I checked, it was not there. So I quietly asked Santana in the kitchen, "Hey, Santana. I seem to be missing one seat." When she heard this, she sniffed and told me something shocking. "Today is our child's celebration, so we only have seats for the family. LOL. You clean up afterwards. Please. LOL." What? Are you telling me not to attend my granddaughter's celebration? Of course not. You are a stranger to my child, you know? You and Stefan are not even related by blood. I'm rather surprised that you were planning to attend. That's terrible. She sees me hurt and bursts out laughing. She was in a good mood and cursed me even more. You are a brazen old hag, asking me to celebrate your 100th day with you, even though you are a stranger. I don't like it when you, a commoner who was lucky enough to marry a rich man, pretend to be Stefan's mother. I wish you'd just go fuck yourself. Then my husband, who was behind the door, muttered in a low voice. I see. So that's your true nature. You've been pretending a lot. So that's how you've been making fun of my wife behind my back. Danny had apparently overheard this conversation by accident. Santana was surprised and exclaimed in surprise that my husband had heard her outburst. She panicked and said to my husband, "No, Danny. This was a joke." She sloppily excused herself. Danny looked at Santana with cold eyes, then sighed and addressed me as follows. "I'm sorry I made you feel bad. Let's go home." "I'm sorry. I'll explain the situation to Stefan later." We decided to leave, ignoring Santana's silence. 3 minutes after we started to leave, Stefan saw us and asked us, "What's wrong?" He asked us. I decided that I didn't need to keep quiet anymore, so I told him the whole story. If my son takes Santana's side in this, I will have no choice but to estrange myself from him as well, even though it is sad. That's what I was thinking. But apparently, my thoughts were unfounded. Stefan's answer was surprising. I see. I knew it. To my surprise, Stefan had noticed Santana's harassment of me. The trigger, apparently, was a pet puppy. My son's house has pet cameras set up all over the place for the little dog. There, they had recorded Santana's outburst to me. That mother-in-law. You're a poor person and you think you're so important. And so on, muttering to herself. When Stefan pursued her about it, she tried to cover it up somehow at first, but eventually she lost her patience and admitted that she had been verbally abusive to me. Because she's a commoner, and she's married to a celebrity, and she's all high and mighty, you know? And she's a stranger, not even related to you by blood, and she's acting like she's your mother. That's what I didn't like about her. Stefan immediately retorted, "My mother is not a stranger. After my birth mother passed away, she gave me more love and affection than my own mother. A few years later, my sister was born, but she never discriminated against me, and her love for me never waned. My mom means a lot to me." Even after Stefan says this much, Santana doesn't stop rubbing me the wrong way. But it's brazen of you to lead a celebrity life when you have a normal family background. She definitely married your father for the money. Don't call such a cowardly person your mother. You are being cheated. Hearing that statement, Danny snapped before I did. Millie doesn't live a celebrity life. She did a fine job for my parents and my son. I will disown people who do terrible things to such a kind wife. And of course I'll stop financing my parents' house for you. Hearing this, Santana's face turned pale and she exclaimed, "That's not good," she exclaimed. In fact, Santana's family was saddled with debts due to her lavish lifestyle. So she bowed down to Danny and asked him for a loan. Danny agreed to the loan because she was his son's wife. In other words, if Danny stopped the loan, her family would be completely finished. It was ironic that her family, which she ridiculed as common people, was in such a mess. As she was being driven into a corner, her son made a comment that drove her further into a corner. "Dad, you can stop the loan. I'm going to divorce her too." She visibly began to panic at his statement. "Wait a minute. I'm certainly sorry for the horrible things I said to you. But wife-mother-in-law problems are everywhere. And that's not much of a divorce. My divorcing you has nothing to do with my mother. The main reason I'm divorcing you is because you're cheating on me. What? Huh? Santana froze at Stefan's words. Danny and I are also surprised and stare at Stefan. According to my son, a pet camera had caught Santana making lovey-dovey calls with her cheating boyfriend. She said she was caught off guard by my son, who was busy at work, leaving evidence everywhere. Maybe the baby born was not Stefan's. Stefan suspected so and requested a background check on Santana from a credit agency. At the same time, he also requested a DNA test of the baby from a laboratory. As a result, the baby was a genuine child of Stefan and Santana. Santana, on the other hand, thought that Stefan had not found out about her affair with her ex-boyfriend. Stefan stares coldly at Santana, who is pale. I didn't want to worry my mom and dad, so I was going to report it after the divorce was official. But now that it's come to this, I have no choice. You and I are divorced. We'll discuss the rest through our lawyers, so get your alimony ready. Hearing his son's words, Santana got down on his knees on the spot. I'm sorry. It was just for fun with him. I was so stressed about not having a baby that I ended up having relations with him. I will never see him again. So please forgive me. But Stefan would not say anything to her. He only stared at her with a look of disdain on his face. Impatient with this, Santana now asked me for help. Oh, please. I sincerely apologize for what I have done so far. From now on, I promise to change my mind and devote myself to you. So, please convince Stefan to stay away from the divorce. Please. Hearing that selfish statement, I finally lost my patience. So I decided to tell her what I wanted to say. Don't be silly. You've made fun of me for being a stranger and for being a commoner. How can you ask for help at this stage of your life? Don't you dare mock me. Helping you? I'm not joking. Oh, but. Don't you dare get involved with me. I will never forgive a woman who betrayed my precious son and cheated on him. Don't you ever get involved with us again. Santana cowered on the floor and began to cry, but no one would help her. A few weeks later, Stefan and Santana divorced. Their son asked Santana for alimony and child support. She returned home to her parents' house, covered in debt, and relinquished custody of the child on the grounds that she could not afford to raise him. As a result, Stefan took custody of the children. She and her parents sold their home and are now apparently living in a cramped apartment. They are now working part-time day jobs to make ends meet. I, on the other hand, am taking care of Stefan's baby. My eldest daughter, who lives nearby, is also crazy about her first niece, saying, "She's so cute." She often comes to help me. I am happy to be healed by my adorable grandchildren. What do you think of this story? Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.